Hello everyone and welcome back to my FPL Fast Track YouTube channel. My name is Jamal and today I am going to go through GameWeek 8, all the fixtures, and we're going to look for some patterns and come up with some strategies for GameWeek 8. So let's get to it. So the first fixture we have is Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Now the first thing that we can see is Nottingham Forest have a 33% record playing at home, whilst Chelsea also have a 33% playing away. In terms of total points, they've got 11 points. Chelsea have 11 points, Nottingham Forest have 5. There's a difference in 10 league ranking places. And if we look at the past 3 game weeks, Chelsea have scored 4 goals. It's not amazing. And Nottingham Forest have only scored 1. So immediately we know Nottingham Forest have not been performing well when it comes to scoring goals. In terms of conceding goals, Chelsea have actually conceded more goals in the past 3 games in comparison to Nottingham Forest. And that's we can quickly see in this chart here. So 80% of all the goals scored was by Chelsea and 20% was only scored by Nottingham Forest. That's the scoring share for the past 3 games. Instead, in terms of the conceding share, Chelsea have a slightly higher conceding share. Now, if we look at the records in detail, if we look at Nottingham Forest, we can see out of all the games, they've lost 4 games, drawn 2 games, and won 1 game. But at home, they've won the first game against Brentford, and they've lost against West Ham and Sunderland, right? And that's them playing at home. Now, Chelsea are on paper more stronger than Sunderland and West Ham, so they are likely to win. But if we look at Chelsea away record, Chelsea have played 3 games away and they've won a game, lost a game, and drawn a game. They won against West Ham quite significantly, 5-1. They drew against Brentford and they lost against Man United. And I remember that game, Chalobah had a red card. In terms of goals, if we look at the total scoring record away, you can see this is quite significant actually. If we look at just the goals scored away, Chelsea are second place out of all. So basically, out of all the teams who have played away, Chelsea have scored the second most number of goals. So that's quite significant. They've scored 8 goals. Whereas on the other hand, if we look at the home record for Nottingham Forest, you can see they are right here at the bottom. They've scored only 3 goals whilst playing home. So if we look at it in detail, let's have a look at the Chelsea players and Nottingham Forest players. So where we are looking at the past 6 games. So we've got from game week 2 all the way to game week 7, and I've selected both Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. You can see Nottingham, and this is showing players who have the highest points by the position. Now we can see Chelsea dominate when you compare Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. They dominate in terms of points. That's why they are all together on the left-hand side. We can see Chalobah has got 29 points in the past 6 games. Caicedo has got 40 points in the past 6 games, right? And Enzo is not far behind with 38 points. Pedro as well, 37 points in the past 6 games. So in terms of player selection, if we look at Caicedo and let's look at Enzo as well. Let's look at both those players. Enzo, Fernandez, yes. So, who do you want and who do you have? Do you have both players? Do you want to pick one between the two? I'll help you out here. So, Caicedo is slightly need just 0.9 million less than Enzo. He is in a better form. He's got 7.0. Enzo, however, he's got 4, and they've been playing the full 90 minutes. You can see that. Average points is very similar. Caicedo has 6.7 points. Enzo has 6.3. Expected goals for the past for per 90 minutes, you can see Enzo is actually more likely to score a goal in comparison to Caicedo. However, and he's more likely to assist as well. So overall goal involvement, Enzo is more likely to score a goal. So if you are to choose a player between the two, and if you do have the funds, Enzo is definitely your pick. So if I was to summarize this game, Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Chelsea are likely to win. They're likely to score a few goals. Enzo is your best pick, and Nottingham Forest is likely going to lose based on their historical performance. Moving on to the next team, it's Brighton versus Newcastle. So the first thing I see immediately is Brighton have got a 33% record of winning at home. Newcastle have not won a game away yet. They've got the same points, 9 points each. They're on very similar league ranking, only one ranking difference. In terms of scoring goals, Newcastle have only scored 3 goals in the past 3 matches, whilst Brighton have scored 6 goals in the past 3 matches, which is very, very good. And in terms of conceding, Brighton have conceded 4 goals in the past 3 matches, and Newcastle have only conceded 2. So Newcastle's defense is very good and Brighton's attack is very good, and that's what we can see here. If we look at the performance, so I've got home selected. Where is Brighton? Brighton have scored 5 goals in total playing at home, and they've generated 5 points as well. And you can see this chart here, they haven't lost a match at home yet. So that's quite interesting to know. So they've drawn 2 matches and they've won 1 match. And this match, well, this is quite significant. Fulham is actually very good, but they haven't been playing well away. But look at their record. Brighton have won against Man City in GameWeek 3, and then they drew against Tottenham. So Brighton have played pretty tough teams at home. So now they are going to play Newcastle, and Newcastle is fixture difficulty 3. Okay, that's very interesting. Now if we have a look at Newcastle's away record, look at that. That is incredible. This is very, very interesting. Out of all the teams that have played, out of all the teams in the Premier League, Newcastle are actually the bottom of the table when it comes to the away record. That is quite significant, isn't it? So they've played 3 times and they've drawn 3 times. And if you actually hold on, it's not okay, my bad. I'm gonna retract what I said. But Newcastle's away record is 3 points out of 3 games, and they've drawn every single game. And if we were to look at the entire table, they are mid-table, and they haven't scored a goal away yet, and they haven't conceded a goal away yet. So that is very, very interesting. If we have a look at both Brighton and Newcastle together, we can see Newcastle's defense have been dominating, and they have a lot of points in comparison to Brighton's defenders. You can see the most points for defenders between the two teams are from Newcastle. So Burn has 34 points, right? Tino Livramento has 28 points, and he didn't play last game. Botman has 26 points, and Brighton's best defender is Van Heck, and he has 20 points in the last 6 games. You can see his general record is only 1 point and 3 points, and he managed to score a goal in GameWeek 7, so he did get quite a lot of points there. In terms of midfielders, we can clearly see Minte is the best player with the most number of points for Brighton and Newcastle. So when we look at both teams together, Minte has the most points. He has got 28 points in the past 6 games. And after him comes Bruno Guimaraes with 27 points. He scored a goal and an assist, so he bumped up quite high because of his last game. And if we look at the forwards, Waltermaid has been doing exceptionally well since he's come. He has been transferred in 383,000 times. His price has gone up by 1 as well. So if Newcastle, I can see they're playing Brighton, Fulham, and then West Ham. So they have actually got good fixtures coming up. So to summarize, this is going to be a very interesting game, purely because Newcastle haven't conceded anything away. Brighton have been scoring quite well and they haven't lost. So both teams haven't lost actually. So if let's have a look at Waltermaid and Minte comparison. Okay, so let's click on Waltermaid here, and then we look at for Minte, Yakuba Minte. Yeah, so if we were to compare them together, first things first, Minte has been getting extra minutes, 88 minutes. Nick Waltermore, he hasn't been getting amazing minutes. Okay, so when he started, he got 64 minutes. Second game, 83. Then he got 66 minutes. But in his last game, he got the full 90 minutes. Yakuba Minte, however, he's been generally playing full games. But in Game Week 5, he played 75 minutes. Okay, now, so they're both these players seem like they will be playing for at least most of the match. If we look at the XG for the per 90 minutes, Waltermaid is much more likely to score a goal. However, Minte is more likely to give an assist. Overall goal involvement, Waltermaid is likely to have a more likely to score in comparison to Minte. However, if you look at this stat here, Brighton are likely to concede as well. It says 1.34, which means they are likely to concede roughly 1.34 goals in 90 minutes. On the other hand, Newcastle are likely to concede expected goals conceded is 0.8, which means since it's less than 1, they are likely to have a clean sheet. So for this reason, I would pick, that's a very, very interesting one. It is safe to have Newcastle defenders in your team, purely because of historical stats. So if you have Burn, Livramento, Botman, do play them on Pope as well, yes. But what I'll do, I will have a look at all the other teams to see if any other teams are more likely to have a stronger clean sheet. So I will have to look into that. purely because Brighton are good at scoring. So although Newcastle's defense is strong, although Newcastle haven't conceded anything away, because of Brighton's ability to score a lot of goals, we will have to get back to it and decide whether we should bench Newcastle defenders or not. I will come back to that. I'll keep a note of that. Next game, Burnley versus Leeds. Okay, first things first, immediately I see 33% home win ratio for Burnley, 33% away record for Leeds. Total points, they've got 4 points difference. League ranking, very similar. Goals scored past 3 games. Leeds have scored 6 goals. Burnley has scored 3 goals only in the past 3 games. Conceding, Burnley conceded 8 goals in the past 3 games. Leeds have conceded 5. So just on this data alone, it seems like Leeds are more stronger than Burnley. Let's have a look at it in more detail. So Burnley are currently sitting at the second last position or ranking in the league table with a total of 4 points. They have lost 5 games, won 1 game, and drawn 1 game. Playing at home, they've actually got a better record playing at home than away. So look at this. When Burnley play away, they've lost every single game. Whereas when they play at home, they've only lost 1 game, they've won a game, and they drew once as well. So that just tells you that they're more comfortable playing at home and they have a better record at home than away. In terms of goals scored, when they played Sunderland in GameWeek 2, the only win of the season so far, they scored 2 goals at home. They lost to Liverpool, only 1 goal. So that was, considering losing against Liverpool by only 1 goal, that just shows that Burnley's defense is actually quite good. And they drew against Nottingham Forest. Okay, so Burnley's home record is better than the away record. That's something that we can take away. And in terms of conceding, they've only conceded twice at home. So that shows that they're quite strong defensively. That's something we need to keep a note of. Okay, on the other hand, Leeds away. How is Leeds away? Okay, so this is also very interesting. Leeds have played 3 times, they've lost twice, they've won once, and they've won against Wolves only. They lost 5-0 to Arsenal, 1-0 to Fulham. So how are they going to perform against Burnley? Now, if you look at this stat here, they've conceded 7 goals playing away, and they've only scored 3 goals whilst playing away. So although this shows that Leeds are better than Burnley, if we break the stats down between home and away fixtures, Burnley do have a very good record playing at home. So that is something very, very interesting. Now, if we look at, let's have a look at DEFCON points for Burnley. This is very, very interesting. Do you know what? Let me sort it by top to bottom. Look at this. Burnley are the 3rd top team to have the most defensive contribution points. That's very interesting. So what we can definitely expect, and who is the best player? Cullen. Cullen's got a total of 8 DEFCON points in the past 6 games. And look at his previous game. In GameWeek 6, when they played against Aston Villa, Cullen got 2 bonus points. They conceded 2 goals. Even after conceding two goals, Cullen got 2 bonus points, 2 defensive contribution points, and he had a total of 20 defensive contribution tackles and interceptions. That's one of the highest I've seen. So he is clearly a very, very busy midfielder. And you can expect something like that when they play against a attacking team. But if just looking at other teammates, you can see Florentino also has no, he has 6 defensive contribution points, and Steve has also got 6 defensive contribution points. In terms of points, let's have a look at both teams, Burnley and Leeds. Okay, now this is interesting. Anthony is still the top performer for Burnley with 39 points in the past 6 games. We know he only played 58 minutes in the past game. That was quite sad because I do have him on my team, and I only got 1 point out of him in the last game, which I wasn't too happy with. Cullen comes second. Longstaff's been quite well as well. He comes third. He just had a really good game week 6. Other than that, he hasn't really done much. And then Joe Roden, he's got 7 points. Yeah, so overall the players are not amazingly top performers with high points, other than Anthony. But my prediction for this game is actually, I think Burnley are going to do very well. Actually, I think Burnley could possibly win it. So, and that's because of the home record. Uh, Burnley are likely to win this game. Okay, let's make it even more clear. Burnley are likely to score in this game, right? That is a very high probability. So if you do have Anthony in your team, I would definitely get him involved. Okay, next game, Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. Again, first thing I noticed is 33% home win ratio for Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth have won 33% of their away matches. In terms of points, it's very, very similar. The rankings are very similar. Goals in the past 3 games are exactly the same. Goals conceded in the past 3 games are also very similar. So the first thing we can see that both the teams have very, very similar stats. Let's go into more detail. So let's start off with Crystal Palace's home record. Let's see, where is Crystal Palace? Here, Crystal Palace. Okay, so Crystal Palace have not lost a game at home yet. They've drawn twice and they've won against Liverpool, right? On the other hand, Bournemouth away, they haven't actually been performing amazing, but they have won a game, lost a game, and drawn a game. They drew against Leeds, they won against Tottenham, and they lost against Liverpool. They've conceded 6 goals away and scored 5 goals, which is quite surprising. Whilst Crystal Palace at home, they have only conceded 2 goals. So Crystal Palace are so far have been a rock at the back, to be honest. If we just remove the home filter, overall Crystal Palace have only conceded 5 goals, and you can see here. And if we just see ranking wise who conceded the most or least, Crystal Palace is actually joint second place with Newcastle and Spurs when it comes to conceding the least amount of goal. Only Arsenal have a better record. So that's very interesting. On the other hand, if we look at Bournemouth and just look at the scoring record, Bournemouth are one of the top scorers in the league so far. So this will be a very interesting battle. If we look at the players in detail, let's have a look at the best players. Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. Okay, so Crystal Palace. We can see both teams have very, very high scoring points. Defenders like Senesi got 44 points in the past 6 games. Then Mark Guihi got 40 points. Trafford got 32. Munoz got 31. Semenyo's smashing it at the moment with 51 points in the last 6 games. Sa comes second with 33 points. Strikers are quite average there. So if we were to consider who could score better, let's have a look at Semenyo and Sa, the top midfielders. Okay, just looking at the goal involvement, you can see Sa is actually surprisingly has a better XG compared to Semenyo. This is quite surprising, but if we look at actual goals, if we look at attacking returns between Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, Semenyo has 7 attacking returns. Sa has only 4. So that is quite interesting because although oops, what have I done? Also, although Semenyo has a lower XG, Sa has a higher XG, we know Semenyo has a better attacking record. Therefore, Semenyo would still be the better pick. Points doesn't lie. So my summary for this game is I expect goals. I expect goals, but there won't be too many goals. If there is a goal, it would be from Semenyo or top performers like Clivert. At the same time, Crystal Palace are very good at the back. So I would say 1-0 to Bournemouth. But I wouldn't captain Semenyo in this game, purely because Crystal Palace are very good. Moving on to the next match. Manchester City versus Everton. Manchester City have a 76% win record playing at home, whilst Everton have only got a 33% win record playing away. Points are very similar, surprisingly. League ranking is also not too bad. In terms of goals, though, Man City have got a better share of scoring goals in the past 3 games, and in terms of conceding, Man City also have a better record at conceding less goals in comparison to Everton. So from this stat we can easily see Man City are more favourite to win. But let's have a look at the details. Man City have the second most highest number of goals scored after Arsenal. However, you can see that they've only played 3 games, so I'm not going to judge based on what level they are at. But out of the 3 games, they've won 2 games and they've lost 1 game. And look at this. The first game, that was game week number 2, they lost against Tottenham playing home. But since then, they've scored a lot of goals. Now, so we can expect Man City to be scoring a lot of goals. The past 2 games they played at home, they scored 8 goals. Look at that, 8 goals and conceded 3 goals. Let's have a look at Everton's record playing away. Everton, they've lost 2 games and they've won 1 game only. And that game, they lost against Liverpool 2-1. They lost against Leeds and they won against Wolves in GameWeek 3. Overall, they've conceded 5 goals playing away. So this fixture seems like, statistically looking, this fixture looks like Man City is going to run riot, to be honest. If we let's have a look at attacking returns from Man City, and we can clearly see Haaland has 8 attacking returns, the most out of any player in the entire league. Then Doku comes second with 4 attacking returns. But the risk of getting Doku in your team is clearly the rotation, Pep's rotation. He didn't play much in the last game, which was disappointing. So the difficulty is finding or picking out who to pick for this game. Haaland is clear favorite for a captaincy. Most likely I'm going to captain him as well, unless I see other better patterns. Everton, Grealish is actually, so that is very interesting to see here. Now, what I'm looking at is, other than Haaland, you can see in every other position, whether it's goalkeeper, defense, or midfield, Everton players dominate in terms of individual players. So we've got Grealish with 36 points. Then comes Ndiaye with 35 points. Ghana 31 points. In defense, we have Keane with 33 points, which is a very good with the total points of 35. Tarkovsky, total points 32, but 28 points in the past 6 games. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Let's have a look at Keane. So Michael Keane, he's only 4.5 million. We don't expect him to score goals, so his XG and XA would be very low, which is expected. But this is what I was looking for. Expected goal conceded 1.42, which means they are likely to concede goals. And if we look at his past record, which is going to load up, if he wants to load up, if we look at his past record, we can see that he's been playing 90 minutes generally. Last game he played only 64 minutes, but his defensive contribution is quite solid actually. So he is also likely to get good defensive contribution points, but they are likely to concede. So if Everton do not concede, they are going to get top points. So bear that in mind. But at the same time, they're playing Man City, one of the top scoring teams, so they are most likely to score goals, I guess. So my summary for this game is Haaland, captain, and it would be quite interesting to see how Man City's defense is. That's something I'm keen on to see. Whether they've improved their defense, whether Everton can score against them. That's something that I would be keen to see. And if Man City is able to keep a clean sheet, then we definitely should consider Man City defenders going forward. Next game, Sunderland versus Wolves. Look at this. This is very, very interesting. Sunderland have a 67% win record playing at home. Wolves haven't won a game at all yet. They've got a massive point difference between the two teams. 11 rankings difference. In terms of goals though, Sunderland have only scored 2 goals in the past 3 games. Conceded 3, whereas Wolves conceded 5 goals. So Sunderland have a very good record, but they're not scoring much, whereas Wolves are conceding a lot and they're quite losing regularly. So let's have a look at it in detail. Sunderland at home, they're like mid-table with 7 points. So they've won 2 games against West Ham and Brentford, and they drew against Aston Villa. They've only conceded 2. They've scored 6 though at home, which is very, very interesting. Good to note. At the same time, Wolves away record, they've lost 2 games and they've drawn a game against Tottenham in GameWeek 6, which was quite surprising to see. But they've only conceded 3 goals actually, so that's quite interesting to see. They've only conceded 3 goals playing away, but they haven't won any games at all. So let's have a look at Sunderland and Wolves together. Top players are Sunderland goalkeeper Robin Royce. I think Sunderland are most likely going to have a clean sheet. Alderete is good to bring him back now. Alderete, Mukili, they've been top defenders so far. So I anticipate a clean sheet from Sunderland. Xhaka is doing quite well as well. Not necessarily super well, but look at his defensive contribution points. He is a very, very busy player in defense. You can see how many tackles he's done. In terms of striking, Isidore is the only possible player who can score, but he hasn't been getting full 90 minutes. So I think this is going to be a win for Sunderland. Um, so I would potentially get the best players such as Xhaka and Alderete and Royf, goalkeeper. So if you have those players, definitely select them. So the next fixture that we're going to analyze is Fulham versus Arsenal. So the first thing we notice straight away is Fulham have a 67% win record playing at home, and Arsenal also have a 67 win record playing away. So it's equal for both teams. In terms of points, there's a big difference in points. There's an 8 points difference between the two teams, and there's a 13 ranking difference between the two teams as well. In terms of the number of goals scored in the past 3 games, is equal. Both teams scored 5 goals each. However, Fulham have conceded 7 goals in the past 3 game weeks. In comparison, Arsenal have only conceded 2 goals. So overall, it doesn't look anything. So overall, apart from looking at the goals conceded, both teams have similar stats. Let's have a look at the details. Let's have a look at the stats in more detail. So Fulham have generated a total of 7 points so far playing home. Fulham have generated 7 points so far playing at home. They have won 2 games and drawn a game. They drew against Man United in GameWeek 2. They won against Leeds 1-0, and they scored 3 goals against Brentford in GameWeek 5. So they have actually a very good record playing at home. They've only conceded 2 and they scored 5 at home. Whereas Arsenal's away record, they have lost a game but won 2 games, and they had very tough matches playing away. So they won against Man United 1-0, they won against Newcastle 2-0, and they lost against Liverpool 1-0. You can see they've only conceded 2 goals as well playing away, so they have a solid defensive record, but they haven't scored as much playing away, so that's something to consider. So considering Arsenal haven't scored as much playing away, whilst Fulham haven't conceded as much playing home, so therefore we can potentially assume Arsenal are going to struggle scoring. I don't anticipate it to be like a 5-0 match. There's not going to be many goals in this game. Potentially the most goals you'll get is roughly 2-1. So if you look at both the teams in detail, just select Arsenal and Fulham, and that's basically a total points for the past 6 games. We can see in terms of midfield, we have Rice leading the way with 34 points in the past 6 weeks. He's got a total of 40 points. Iwobi has got 30 points in total, 28 of which have come from the past 6 weeks. And so a lot of people have been selecting Saka. He selected nearly 10%, yet he hasn't been doing much. He has 8 points in the last game week. He scored a goal. So could he be coming back to his normal, usual scoring record. We don't know, we'll have to see. Jurrian Timber, he has the most points, 48 points in total, all of which is coming from the past 6 weeks. Arsenal have a solid defense with maximum points. Raya, goalkeeper, is also doing very well. So Arsenal's defense is very good. If we have a look at the attacking returns for both Arsenal and Fulham, we can see Eze, surprisingly, he has got 3 attacking returns. He hasn't been getting maximum minutes, so that's the only concern I would say. But he has a very good attacking return ratio. Jurrian Timber's been doing good. Let's have a look at DEFCON points. Understandably, Fulham have more DEFCON points because they are a team where they're defending a lot more. Anderson is the person with the most amount of defensive contribution points. You can see he's been getting 2 defensive contribution points every single week for the past 6 weeks, though his overall points hasn't been great. So it just shows he is a very busy defender. So overall, to summarize this game, the stats are looking very similar. It's going to be a low scoring game, and there's no clear team that is none. Either Fulham or Arsenal are not a team that they have clear stats that they're going to win. So I think it could be a nil-nil game as well. Moving on to the next game, Tottenham versus Aston Villa. We can see Tottenham have a 33% home win record. Aston Villa haven't won a game yet playing away. They have 5 points difference between the two and a 10 league ranking difference. Past 3 games, Spurs have scored 5 goals, Aston Villa have scored 6 goals. Spurs have conceded 4 goals and Aston Villa have conceded 3 goals in the past 3 games. If we look at the detailed analysis for Spurs playing at home do not have a great record. They've only won 1 game, lost a game and drew a game. The win came against Burnley. They lost against Bournemouth and Wolves, so they haven't been playing amazing at home. Although they've only conceded 2 goals at home and only scored 4 goals at home as well. If we look at Aston Villa's away record, they haven't been amazing as well. They've lost a game against Brentford and they drew twice. They haven't really played against strong teams yet. They've conceded only 2 goals and they've only scored a goal playing away. So what we can assume so far is Aston Villa are going to struggle to score a goal against Spurs since they have been struggling since the start of the league, but their away league record is actually very poor. Overall, if we look at Spurs, they have, let's see how Spurs, so this is very interesting. Spurs have only conceded 5 goals. They've only conceded 5 goals and they have the joint second best record out of the entire Premier League teams. So they're very good defensively, and at the same time, if we look at Aston Villa, their scoring record is not great. Yeah, their scoring record is only 6 goals. They've only scored 6 goals in the past 7 game weeks, which is one of the lowest. So to summarize, Aston Villa are playing against a team with a very good defensive record, and Tottenham are playing with a team with a very poor scoring record. So based on that, we can assume that Tottenham are likely to score. Aston Villa are likely to concede. That's something that we can strongly say. If we look at the players in details, overall, looking at the past 6 game weeks, Tottenham's Pelina, he's got 29 points in the past 6 game weeks, and Mohamed Kudus have equaled the same number of points. But if you look at the distribution of points, it looks like Mohamed Kudus has a better distribution of points, and therefore he is more likely. He's a better pick. Let's compare Pelina and Kudus, Mohamed Kudus. Okay, so comparing both the players, we can see Mohamed Kudus has a better XG and a better goal involvement overall compared to Pelina, right? So he is definitely by far a better pick, even though that the points are equal for the past 6 game weeks. I would, if you have the funds, definitely get Mohamed Kudus. He is likely to score. So that's my summary for this fixture. Moving on to Liverpool versus Man United. Now, Liverpool have won every single game playing home. Man United haven't won any games playing away. So that is quite significant. However, if you look at the goals scored in the past 3 game weeks, Man United have scored one more goal more. Man United have scored one goal more than Liverpool, and they've conceded one less goal as well. So this is very, very interesting. If we look at the record in more detail, Liverpool's home record, they've won every single game, so they've got 9 points. They've conceded only 3 goals and they've scored 7 goals, right? So that is actually a very good stat. However, Man United's away record, they've played 3 games, they've lost twice, and they drew once, and they've conceded 7 times playing away. They've only scored 2. So this is clearly a very, very interesting stat. So what we are saying is Liverpool are highly, highly likely to win. They have scored a lot more goals. So Liverpool are playing with a team who have conceded a lot more goals, and Man United are playing with a team who have scored a lot of goals. So it looks like a fixture where Liverpool are likely to win. Looking at both Liverpool and Man United team players, we can see based on the past 6 weeks, Sesko and Ekitike have got equal points of 22 points. In fact, Sesko is in a better form than Ekitike, right? In terms of the midfielder, Gravenberch is the best player so far and the best in form. Bruno Fernandes comes after, but there's an 11-point difference between the 2 players, right? Virgil van Dijk, Konate, they have got very similar points, and Man United's Delete have also got very similar points. If we do a comparison of Ekitike and Sesko, we can see that Ekitike has a higher expected goal involvement, whereas Sesko has slightly lower. However, Sesko is a lot cheaper to get. He's in better form. He's getting more minutes, and he's giving this equal average points for Ekitike. So Sesko is someone worth investing in right now. That's my summary. Final game I want to analyze is West Ham versus Brentford. So straight away we can see West Ham and Brentford, they haven't won a game in their respective venue. So West Ham haven't won a game home Brentford haven't won a game away. The points are very similar, 3 points between the two. However, and the ranking are not so different as well. In terms of scoring goals, Brentford has scored 2 more goals compared to West Ham in the past 3 games, and they have both conceded 5 goals in the past 3 games. If we look at this in detail, West Ham's home record is the lowest. They have lost all 3 games. They have conceded 10 goals in the past. In all the they have conceded 10 goals at home, and they have only scored 2. Very, very low. Lowest by the looks of it. No, second lowest. Lowest by the looks of it. Second lowest, right? However, in terms of points, they have not generated any points at all playing home. Very, very poor. If we look at Brentford's away record, Brentford is actually the same. So they haven't won a game. They haven't drawn any game. They've lost every single game away. They've conceded 8 goals. They've conceded 8 goals at home. So overall, to summarize, this is a very, very interesting game because West Ham have lost every game at home. Brentford have lost every game away. Both conceded goals, roughly 10 goals to 8 goals at home and away. So this is a game with an opportunity for both teams to. So this is an opportunity for. If we look at both the teams and the players, we can see Bowen is by far the best player. He has got 35 points in total, 33 in the past 6 games. He's been scoring regular goals. He is the best player within those teams, and he is likely to score. I would put my bet on Bowen to score at this game. Paqueta he had a really good start to the Premier League, but however he has gone down and he has been blanking for the past 4 GameWeeks, although he is playing nearly every single minute, so he's someone to watch out for. Diouf from West Ham, he had a really good game week 3, but again they've been conceding a lot of goals, so I wouldn't really invest in any of Brentford or West Ham defenders. So overall, Thiago's been doing quite well as well. So in this game, it would be very interesting to see who wins, and I would have Bowen and Thiago in my teams. That's the summary from me.